Okay, back again. You should have now put the multiple choice questions into the same note that you just read the passage on. Okay. So we're going to go through the multiple choice questions. Questions 19 through 23 are just over the second passage. And then we are going to go back and we are going to look at the questions that are on both. Okay? So, number 19. In this selection, do look down. The author includes the photographs and their captions most likely to highlight which idea. Okay, so we're going back to the pictures and we're taking a look at them. What do they say? Tourists stand on skywalk to view the Grand Canyon. Tourists can see through the floor of the skywalk. Okay, so this is looking for, why does the author include the photos? Okay, what's the purpose? Is it to show that it took several years to construct it? Does this have anything talking about it showing it? No, not really. The Grand Canyon Skywalk is attached to the entrance of the building. Do the pictures show that? Yeah, they show it's being attached to something. Maybe. C, the Grand Canyon Skywalk brings visitors to the Grand Canyon West. Are there visitors on the skywalk? Yes. Okay, let's keep that one. And building the Grand Canyon Skywalk required the agreement of tribal elders. In those pictures, I saw nothing about tribal elders. So out of B and C, the Grand Canyon Skywalk is attached to the entrance, and then it brings visitors. I'm going to say C is the best answer because in the picture, we literally see them visitors being on there. So I feel like that is probably the best possible answer. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Question 20. Why does the author use questions in paragraph 3 of the selection do look down? So it's looking at questions, in paragraph 3. So why does the author do that? So let's go back to paragraph 3 and let's see what it is that we are talking about. So paragraph 3, I'm looking, it talks about the design work. They had to ask themselves, how could it hold weight? Would wind be a problem? What should the walkway look like? So why would they ask questions? Is it F, to suggest the Hualapai tribe members lacked engineering experience? G, to highlight that the skywalk would allow people to see a more rugged area of the canyon? H, to emphasize that creating the skywalk was complicated because nothing like it had ever been built? Or J, to show the Hualapai tribe members hoped the project would bring many tourists? So out of those, the best possible answer is going to be H, because those questions were emphasizing that it was going to take a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of knowledge to go into it. So they needed to ask those questions to figure out if it was actually going to work. Okay. All right. Number 21. The word protrudes has a Latin root, trudere, meaning to thrust. What does protrudes mean in paragraph 1 of the selection do look down? Okay, so I told you this word was going to show up again. So what does it mean in paragraph 1? Okay, so I'm going to read all the options that it gives me and then decide which one is the best one. Okay, so A, works differently than intended. B, appears separate from the main part. C, has a variety of uses. And D, sticks out from an area. I'm going to go back to paragraph 1. Take a look. It is a horseshoe-shaped glass wall that protrudes 70 feet beyond the canyon wall. So, since it's sticking 70 feet beyond the canyon wall, I don't think that it means it works differently. I don't think that it means it's a pier from a separate part. That it has a variety of uses. I don't think it tells that. I do think it sticks out of that area. Okay. All right. All right. Number 22. What can the reader conclude about the tribal elders based on paragraph 4 of the selection, do look down? Is it that F, they carefully considered how the skywalk would impact their community? So we're talking about paragraph 4 right here. We're talking about the tribal elders. Okay, so what can the reader conclude? So what can the reader infer off that paragraph about the tribal elders? So going back up, I'm going to just look at paragraph 4. We talked about how the tribe had to vote yes about the opportunities that the skywalk would provide. Jobs are one. Architects and engineers, they had to help the tribe to decide on how to build it, and so forth. So if I'm looking at 22, is it F, they carefully considered how the skywalk would impact their community? Well, maybe. Is the skywalk going to impact their community? Yeah, it was. Okay. All right. Is it, so let's keep that one. G, they requested that the skywalk be built at a slow pace. That was never mentioned in here at all, so that clearly cannot be the correct answer. So mark out G. They wanted the skywalk to include several interesting features. Not necessarily, because that was never talked about in here, so that wasn't necessarily going to be the correct answer of that. So H would be wrong. J, they wondered how the number of visitors on the skywalk would be managed. Nope, it didn't necessarily talk about that. It really talked about the opportunities that it was going to provide, and also how this was going, they had to figure out, they had to work with certain people to figure out what all it was going to take. So I believe F would be the best answer because of those job opportunities that it was going to have. Okay, 23. Which sentence from the selection, do look down, best explains why the Hualapai wanted to create the Grand Canyon Skywalk? Okay, so why they wanted to create it. Was it A, nature lovers from around the world could come see the Grand Canyon? And that didn't necessarily talk about why they wanted to. So I would say that would be wrong. B, they needed an extreme attractant to bring new economic life to their home. So they wanted money to come to their home, so that might be it. So I'm going to hold on to that one. C, the one day David Jen, a businessman from Las Vegas, suggested this unique project to Hualapai members. That doesn't say why they wanted it. D, after much discussion, tribal elders supported the idea to build the skywalk. That sounds about right. I'm sorry, that does not sound about right. My bad. Yes, they supported it, but why did they support it? They didn't really talk about that. The best answer is B, they wanted more money. It all comes down to money, my friends. Okay, bear with me a moment. I need to put this other one back into here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do the second multiple choice set of questions. So we compared it, we read each pieces of text. Now we need to do the compare and contrast over the both of them. So we're going to use both passages at this moment, and we're going to answer these questions. So for time, I'm just going to be 100% transparent. I have the passage piece of paper to me. So I'm going to look at the first passage on paper, and then I'm going to look at the questions with you on here. So we got to make sure we read these questions really, really carefully. Okay. All right. Number 24. How is paragraph 3 of the selection, a massive mission, similar to paragraph 4 of the selection, do look down? So we're looking at paragraph 3 in massive mission and paragraph 4 and do look down. So I'm going to go back up to paragraph 4. Remember what it's about. It's about the tribe votes yes. It's going to bring job and money opportunities. I'm going to go back to a massive mission. Okay. And this talked about how there was tons of people needed to help out. It talked about engineers and technicians worked around the clock. So did those policemen. So let's figure out what is the best possible answer. So both paragraphs emphasize that planning ahead was an essential part to the projects. So did both of them need that planning time? Yes. So let's go ahead and keep that. So that both paragraphs present information about how the projects were approved. Nope, we don't know anything about massive mission. We never talked about that being approved. However, it was approved on Do Look Down, but that's only one of them, so that can't be it. H, both paragraphs explain the hopes and expectations that people had for the projects. Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, I know that the tribe really wanted it to be successful, but that didn't talk about a massive mission, so H can't be correct. Or J, both paragraphs reveal the overall cost associated with the projects. So it did talk about the overall cost. On a massive mission in paragraph 4, talked about how it was $10 million. And then in this one, it talked about how it was $30 million, but that was in paragraph 6. So that can't be correct. So best possible answer is going to be F. Okay. All right. 25. How is the Grand Canyon Skywalk in the selection Do Look Down, unlike the Space Shuttle Endeavour in the selection of Massive Mission? So we're looking at, in the previous question, we looked at how they were similar. Now we're looking at how they're different, okay? The Grand Canyon is now an attraction for the public to enjoy. Well, that's the same in both. The shuttle and the mission is now in a museum. The Skywalk is still up. It's still working, so that can't be correct. They're both attractions. Okay? The Grand Canyon Skywalk has served as a model for other projects that followed. That is true. Did the Massive Mission article talk about how this served as a model for other things? No. So B might be an answer. C, the Grand Canyon Skywalk has been built to withstand extreme conditions. Okay, yes. But what does that have anything to do with the Massive Mission? Kind of doesn't. So C can't be the correct answer. D, the Grand Canyon Skywalk is constructed with heavy materials. Yes, but so was the Massive Mission and all of that stuff. Okay, so D can't be correct. So best possible answer is going to be B. Okay, 26. What is a difference? So we're looking at different between the people who organized Endeavor's move and with selection, Massive Mission, and the builders of the Grand Canyon Skywalk and the selection Do Look Down. So how are they different? Was it F? Only the organizers of Endeavor's move were satisfied with the results of their efforts. It never talked about on either of them how satisfied that they were. So F cannot be a good possible answer. Okay. G, only the organizers of Endeavor's move required help from engineers. This can't be true because it talked about engineers in both texts. H, only the builders of the Skywalk made decisions based on concerns about public safety. That's wrong. Both texts were talking about public safety and how that was really important to them and their community. So by default, J is the best answer, and it's also the correct one. Only the builders of the Skywalk were hoping their project would create jobs. And that was only mentioned in the Do Look Down passage because only that one talked about how it created so many jobs for other people. So that would be the best possible answer. Okay. Last question. 27. Read this sentence from paragraph 5 of the selection A Massive Mission. Every day people come to see the shuttle that flew so many daring missions into space. Which sentence from the selection Do Look Down includes a similar idea? So now we need to find two phrases that sound similar. Okay, A says, though it would take a great amount of work, many tribe members like this idea. They felt the Skywalk would provide job opportunities. Okay, so I don't find any similarities between these two. I don't think that they are any similar to each other, so I would say that A is not one. B, it is strong enough to hold the weight of 71 airplanes. Well, that came from a Massive Mission, so there's no way that could be correct. C, since then, the $30 million attraction has welcomed millions of visitors. Okay, maybe, because this talks about people visiting, so that sounds maybe about right. Okay, so we'll keep that one. D, the Hualapai have future plans to add business and a museum. Well, the mass submission's already it's already in a museum, so that can't be right. So best possible answer is C.